Alright, so I have a little tutorial today for you guys for using VRTK and using that to kind of amplify and get you started on your virtual reality project. So we're going to go into the Asset Store tab here and just type in VRTK. VRTK is awesome, it's totally free, and it's an awesome starting point for any VR project. So we'll go in here to VRTK. And if you haven't already downloaded it like I have, it should say download here instead of import. So we're going to go ahead and import it now, but download it and then import it if you don't see import here. So when you go to import, you're going to see a lot of stuff come up. You don't necessarily need everything. You can kind of go through these. If you know what you're doing, you can kind of go through some of these and get rid of some of the things you know you don't need. For example, there's a lot of example scenes that you might not want to import because this is a very hefty package. Now, if you're kind of coming at this from a beginner standpoint, I would say definitely go ahead and import everything just to be safe. You don't want to accidentally get rid of something as in uncheck it if you don't know exactly what it does. Otherwise, you might break something with VRTK, and you definitely don't want to do that because it'll lead to a lot more problems later on. So we're going to go ahead and click import and wait for this to import. Alright, so once that's imported, you should down here see VRTK. So VRTK, that's going to have everything that you imported in this folder here. So what I usually do, let's go back to our scene view, when I start a project. Now this might not be the best way to do things, but it's definitely the simplest and can get you kind of going, get you started on a project. So I would go into here and maybe just go through each of these if you haven't already and kind of see what they do. And so what I like to do when I'm starting a project is I'll think about what kind of stuff I'll need inside the project. Am I going to need teleportation? Am I going to need some kind of grabbing mechanic so you can interact with objects? So let's say we want to have some cool object interactions in our scene. VRTK is awesome with that. So if we scroll around in here, you'll see all sorts of awesome grab mechanics, different ways to interact with all these different objects on all these shelves. And so what I do when I start a project, just the quick and dirty way to just get things going, maybe you're just trying to do kind of a test to see if this interaction system will actually work with what you're doing, or what. But what I usually do, just the quick and dirty way, is I'll figure out which one of these things I need, which object matches exactly what I'm trying to do. For example, grab mechanics attach objects to controllers using a variety of different techniques. So say we just want to be able to pick up and interact with objects in our scene. So I'll just go in here and just find a cube that works with what I need. So the cube becomes a child of the controller game object when it's grabbed. Okay, that sounds like what I need for my project. Let's save this. So maybe I'll pull it off to the side just so I don't lose it. And delete everything else that I'm not going to be using. So just push delete. So now you can see our scene is more or less empty. A couple things left over here or there. We have everything else we need, and we have this cube. So this will still work in our scene. We can use that. We can change this mesh from a cube to being whatever we're looking for, and we can add to the scene. We can change out this floor, put in our own terrain, put in whatever we need. But now we have the code in here for grabbing this stuff. So this will get you started really fast with VRTK. Just go into a VRTK example scene. One thing you might want to do that I didn't do is go in here and actually make a duplicate of the scene before you go in and make a ton of changes. So we can go click on this, Click on the scene we want and go to Edit, Duplicate. So now we have two scenes. We should be, let's see, so push save. So when we go into the duplicated one, it'll have all the old stuff back in it. But if we go back into the one we were just in, this is our new scene. That way, if you want to go in and grab a different asset, you'll have that still. You won't have to re-import the project, which can kind of be annoying. So we have our cube. We can go in here and make any changes we want to this scene, replace whatever we want. Just make sure we keep this example object in here so that we can kind of use that to duplicate. So let's say we want to make multiple of these. We can just duplicate this cube using Control D. Now we have multiple objects that we can play with in our scene and change the meshes. We can bring in something unique, and we can just, one thing I'll just do often is I'll just go through what kind of things are attached to this object, what kind of scripts VRTK has attached to this object, and you'll just make sure I copy those exactly. And put them onto my new object. Yeah, and that's basically all I'll do when starting a new scene, just the quick and dirty way to get things done fast. This can leave some extra stuff in your scene scripts that you might not need, depending on what all you delete. But this is the fastest way to get things done and just to get things going in your project. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting started, and this will help you just get started. Get your first little scene set up quickly, so you can kind of build off of that. So yeah, thank you for watching my tutorial.